Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on awareness on AOC-4 offline utility. We are delighted to have you all with us today for this focused and informative session. It is our pleasure to extend a warm welcome to Shri Shashi Raj Tara from MCA, our esteemed leadership, our chairman, CA Babu Ibrahim, in absentia, our vice chairperson, CA Preeti Savla, and the technical team from LTI, who have joined us for this session. I now request our chairman, sir, to kindly address the participant and formally inaugurate the webinar. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Seema. At the outset, let me welcome all the participants who have joined across the country for this webinar on AOC for offline utility. I should also thank Shashi Raj Dhara, the respected Joint Secretary, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, for joining us for this webinar and also for facilitating this very important seminar. Once again, I should also thank MCA for extending the due date for filing of the various forms, whether it is AOC-4 or MGT-7, till 31st of December, considering the difficulties faced by the stakeholders and especially the professionals. I think this is a very important, and also welcome and thank the LTI team, actually, who is a technical backbone of the ministry, and also for the for coordinating the filing with various forms. Thank you for the LTI team for joining us and also taking initiative in organizing this webinar and also sharing your resource persons. I'm sure you are the right people who will be able to guide the various professionals, our honorable members who have joined across the country, who are facing difficulties in filing the AOC-4 and MGT-7. And I think this kind of awareness will go a long way in organizing this type of seminars, in organizing the programs like this. Thank you for facilitating this. And building upon these efforts, today's joint webinar with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs is yet another step in our shared objective of strengthening stakeholder awareness, improving filing accuracy, and ensuring smoother adoption of the AOC for offline utility. I would like to emphasize that Corporate Law and Corporate Governance Committee has been actively supporting the Ministry of Corporate Affairs throughout the MCA 21 V3 journey, not only as a professional body but as a committed partner in India's digital governance transformation. Post launch of 38 e-forms on 14th of July 2025, ICA has supported a smooth transition by setting up dedicated MCA 21 V3 helplines, operational Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. to assist our members. I don't know. Please go through our CLCGC website and see the helpline link, and please interact with our team for all your difficulties. And if something is not being able to sort out at their level, we'll definitely take it up with the LTI team and MCA for sorting out this any difficulties faced by you. Therefore, this new utility will help to reduce the dependency on real-time portal availability, enable better data preparation and validation, minimize last-minute errors and e-filings. I'm sure this is a much improved version which will help all of you to have a smooth filing experience. I wish all the very best and happy learning to you all. And please put in your views and any queries, and we will take it further forward on that. Thank you. Thank you. Over to Seema.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now request LTI technical team to please start with the presentation, and we'll take up any questions if it's there towards the end of the session. Over to you, Vijaya.
Yeah, okay. So, ma'am, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah. So a very good evening, everybody. So in today's webinar, we are going to discuss about the offline utility which we have introduced for AOC-4 or MGT-7 forms. along with online way of filing your forms. So we will talk about what is this offline utility, how it is different from online forms, and what are all the advantages, and most importantly, what are all the key points that we need to consider while filing your forms in offline utility, because the way you file the form in online is different from offline utility. So we will emphasize the key areas or the key pointers that we need to consider before going and uploading these forms. And at the end, we will also talk about few common issues that are currently the stakeholders are raising. So we will try to provide the solutions for those commonly issued queries. It is for both AOC-4 and MGT7 forms, and then we will take up Q&A. So let us to begin with. So as I mentioned, so this is going to be our agenda. So we will talk about what is the common enhancements that we have made in annual filing forms in V3 system, and what are all the, and we have introduced a concept called linked filing in V3 system for both online and offline use annual filing forms. We will quickly explain what is the concept of this linked filing and what are all the different applicabilities for this filing of these linked filings. And then we will talk about what is the offline form, what are all the different steps involved, and what are all the points that we need to consider. And we will also demonstrate few offline utility complete screenshot of this form, web layout, and the Excel. And then we will talk about the commonly raised issues. So to begin with, these are all the few key form enhancements that we have done in V3 system, which are applicable for all the forms. This is not just for annual filing form. These enhancements, whatever we are going to discuss, is these are for all the forms that we have launched in V3 system. So the first enhancement, as we all know, in V3 system, all your forms are web-based forms. Whereas in V2 system, all the forms used to get filed in the form of a PDF. You used to download the PDF and fill in the form and then upload. Now all these forms have been converted into web-based forms, wherein your form is bifurcated into multiple sections, and all your validations of the happens at each section rather than waiting at the end of the form, wherein in V2 you used to click on check form to do all your field level validation. Whereas in V3, all your forms are bifurcated into multiple sections, and all these validations are happening then and there only the moment you click on the save button on the relevant page. So exception to this web form is only in annual filing forms, wherein we have introduced the concept called offline utility, but otherwise all other forms are web-based forms in V3 system. And linkage of forms bases the purpose of the form filing and options selected. So we have introduced this concept called in linked filings. This concept was there in V2 also, but was limited only to incorporation forms. So the meaning of linked filing is whenever you're filing a parent form, depending on the applicability or the selections that you are doing in the form, system will mandate you to add linked forms or the some other forms along with your parent form. For example, in V2, whenever you're filing your incorporation form, system used to ask you to file EMOA or EMOA, AOA or INC9, URC1, Agile ProS. These are few linked forms which are actually applicable for incorporation. Similar way, so this linked filing concept is carried from V2 and it is extended not just for incorporation. We have extended functionality of linked filing uh, to many other forms like conversion forms, share capital, authorized capital increase from like SS7. And also we have added this functionality of linked filing in AOC4 and AOC4 forms also, which is one of the annual filing form. So the next enhancement is about auto prefilling of common fields across the form. So to the extent possible, we are trying to prefill the information if the information is already available. For example, if you are entering any SRN, so we are trying to prefill your date in terms of other forms. And whereas in annual filing forms, especially in AOC4 forms, the previous year numbers are going to get prefilled in V3 system, whereas in V2, users are supposed to enter the values of previous year numbers also, even though you've done your previous year filing in the system. So field optimization by removal of duplicate and redundant fields. This is a common enhancement across the forms. Wherever fields are not relevant or redundant, we have removed such fields. And also the minimization of attachment. This is one of the major enhancement that you might have seen in V3 system, wherein many attachments which got removed, and we have converted those attachments into a digitized format, which is like taking your DSC and asking the information within the form itself. The reason is basically if the data is getting captured in the form of attachment, which is in a unstructured format, and system is not able to read the data. So to read the data, so to the extent possible, we have converted the attachment into a readable or structured attachments, like asking the user to attach Excel form of attachments, or we have converted the fields, these attachments into a fields itself within the form so that we can have the structured data in the system. So the next common enhancement is about addition of field level validation, thereby minimizing the errors at the time of filing. So as I mentioned, now all these forms are web-based forms, and your form is bifurcated into different sections of the different pages. And all your validations happens at each form, each section level. Suppose if you take Spice Plus Part B or AOC-4 or MGT7, your form is bifurcated into different sections, and on filling one of the sections, so system will ask you to say click on save button. On click of save, whatever the validations that are applicable to that section will happen then and there only. So the last enhancement is about maximum size of individual attachment. So as we all know, in V2 system, we had the file size limit of 6 MB, which is for both your attachments and e-forms. And this limit of file size got increased to 10 MB in V3 overall. And also there was no limit on individual attachment level in V2 system. So which we have added in V3 system, that is individual attachment size is restricted to 2 MB, whereas overall file size is limit is 10 MB. However, this is the common functionality across the forms, but however, there are exceptions for few forms like AOC-4 or AOC-4 XBRL, AOC-4 NBFC, and MGT7, wherein we have relaxed these validations in terms of the individual attachment or overall file size limit. So the complete enhancement details for form-wise enhancement, all this information is already available on MCA portal in the form of Lot 3 form enhancements document. So you may please go through the document to get more information on the enhancements that are happen each form for all the annual filing forms, including your ADT forms and all. So the complete document is already available on MCA portal. So now to begin with the benefits of using offline AOC4. First of all, let us talk about what is the meaning of offline form and how it is different from AOC4 online form. So as we've said, all the forms have been converted into web form in V3, right? So which means you have to, so if you have to fill in any form, say AOC4 online form or DIR12 or Spice Plus Part B, in V3, it is expected that you have to log in with your login to MCA portal, and you have to log in with your business user for most of the forms except incorporation form and some certain other forms. Otherwise, most of the forms are required to be accessible, can be accessible. I mean, you can access these forms only when you log in with your business user ID in V3 system. Only then you can access the form. So now why we have introduced this concept of offline form for AOC4 or MGT7 is because AOC4 form due date, it is basically 30 days from the date of your AGM date, and we have around almost 17 to 18 lakh active companies which are running, which are eligible to file the form for the financial year 24-25. So there are a large number of companies, and most of these companies are small companies, and most of these companies due date will fall in the same period, mostly in the month of October, because if we go by 30th September is your last date for holding your AGM. So most of the companies would fall under the due date would fall during the end of October month. So which means in the month of October or last few weeks of October, so you may have to deal with hundreds of companies at one go, especially the professional firms wherein they are handling multiple companies. Then they may have to file multiple forms at one go. But now in V3, for example, if there is one ICA firm who is having three team members, and at max they can only log into the system, they can file only three forms at one go by using three different business user IDs, right? Now that actually this functionality of asking user to file online forms in online mode will actually, I mean, it may not be, they will not be able to file these forms on with the same which have same due date, and they are dealing with large number of companies. Then asking the user to file this form in online mode by you logging into a business user may not work, especially with respect to AOC4 forms or MGT7 forms where the due date falls. Most of the companies' due date will fall either in the month of October for AOC4 forms and November for MGT7 forms. To give the option to the users, so to avoid all these problems, so we have introduced this concept of offline utility. So the advantage or benefit is basically let dependency on internet and portal downtimes. The first point is whenever you are using offline functionality for filing your forms, there is a less dependency on internet, and you're not required to connect with your MCA portal. Only for once you provide your basic information, you can come out of your MCA portal, and it is not even required to, I mean, you're not even required to connect to your internet, so that you can fill in your forms offline without any interruption. And you can and also multiple company filings, as I mentioned, if you have to file online form, you have to log in with your system with the business user ID, which means business user ID is mandatory prerequisite for you to fill in any form. Now, in this case, you may not be able to handle multiple companies. Now, with this introduction of offline utility, what you can do is, you can just, suppose there are 10 companies that you need to fill in the form, you can just pick up those 10 companies and log into the system, fill in basic information for all these 10 companies, and generate the excels and keep it with you. And then after that, you can work on multiple companies, and you can share this with different team members who are not actually having business user ID also. This is one of the major advantage, especially when the firms which are dealing with large number of companies filing during the same period of time. Now, convenient for handling of large data, as it is Excel-based offline form, is easier to manage. Again, also this is one of the important point to highlight. Wherever you are dealing with large number of data, in terms of wherein you have all financial parameters applicable, or entire schedule 3 is applicable to all the line items you have to enter manually. So in that case also, it is advisable to use offline utility, so that you can fill in the data offline by taking your base Excel. So you can copy paste the values, and you can cross check the values. Everything you can do it offline without any dependency on the MCA portal. Now, secure review process. So you can share the Excel file for review without sharing the login credentials. Now, what actually happens is, now suppose let us say one of the team member is filling the web form, and before submitting or before generating the SRN, if the manager wants to review that file, only the option is to share the credentials, and he has to log in and again go through the web form. So in offline mode, you can simply share your Excels for review once you have filled in the data, before uploading those Excels onto the portal, so that it will ensure that you're not uploading the data again and again to avoid all the errors. So if there are any review comments, or if there are any errors as part of upload, you can just cross check those errors and the review comments. You can update the data, and you can upload the Excels. This will save time for reviewing the documents also. These are all the key benefits why offline utility can be used, and in which all scenarios you can opt to use offline utility. So let us begin with the linked filing concept before going into the process to file offline utility form. So as I explained, we have introduced this concept called linked filings for annual filing forms also in V3 system. And these linked filing concept is only applicable for AOC-4 forms. As far as MGT 7 and 7A are concerned, there are no linked filings applicable. It is only one form, that is either MGT 7 or 7A. So all these linked filing forms that we are talking about, these are applicable only for AOC-4 or AOC-4 NBFC. And as far as AOC-4 XBRL is concerned, the process, entire process remains same as of V2, except CSR2 form, which used to get filed as an independent filing in V2 system. Now it has been made linked filing to AOC-4 XBRL. So as far as AOC-4 XBRL is concerned, only CSR2 can come as a linked filing, and none of these linked filings which we are going to discuss now are not applicable for AOC-4 XBRL, because the XBRL taxonomy is already capturing entire information, whether it be it as related party transactions, or holding subsidiary details, associate joint venture, everything is getting captured within your XML only. Hence, only CSR2 will come as a linked filing to AOC for XBRL. And however, all these linked filings, these 7 linked filings that we are going to talk about, are applicable for AOC4 and AOC4 NBFC, subject to certain conditions. And so the first form, before going to first form, I will tell you what is the minimum requirement to of these linked filings. If you are filing any form in V3, irrespective of the reason for which financially you're trying to file the form, what is your nature of filing or category, type of company, class of company, there are two minimum linked filings which are applicable. That is extract of director's report, extract of auditor's report standalone. These two forms will always come as a linked filing for all your filings of AOC-4 or AOC-4 NBFC, irrespective of any criteria, which means these are bare minimum, which means in V3, you will be filing your AOC-4 or AOC-4 NBFC at least with 2 minimum linked filings, that is extract of board report and extract of auditor's report standalone. For these 2 linked filings, there is no applicability. It is applicable for all the cases. You can see here last 2 line items. So now to next point is about AOC1, which is this AOC1 is for filing or reporting your subsidiary and joint venture or associate company details. So is it mandatory linked filing for all the companies? Answer is no. It depends on the field that you are going to select in the parent form. The parent form in our example is either it will be AOC4 or AOC4 NBFC. In AOC4 or AOC4 NBFC, there is a field called field 80, which asks the user to enter yes or no against a field, which is whether the company has a subsidiary as defined under clause 87 of section 2, or has an associate company or a joint venture as defined under clause 6 of section 2. And system will ask you to select yes or no. Only if you say yes, that yes, you have a subsidiary company or you have some joint venture or you have some associate companies, then only you have to go and say yes. Once you say yes, system will automatically enable AOC4, AOC1 form as a linked filing. Please note that once it is enabled, there is no option available to the stakeholder. He has to mandatorily file this form as a linked filing unless he goes back and changes the radio button to no. If you say yes against field number 80, then it is always mandatory to file AOC1 as a linked filing. So next linked filing is about AOC2, which is for reporting your related party transactions. Again, here this linked form also is dependent on the value or the radio button that you are going to select in your parent form, that is AOC4 or AOC4 NBFC. There's a field called whether any transactions entered with the related party, yes or no, in AOC4 or AOC4 NBFC. When you say yes, only then system will enable AOC2 form, which means it is also a conditional, it is condition based linked filing. And then AOC4 CFS. This is for consolidation purposes. So in V2, if you compare this process of filing consolidated financial statements in V2, what used to happen is if consolidation is applicable and you have to first go and file your parent form, that is AOC4 or AOC4 NBFC. And in the parent form, you have to mandatorily select that consolidation is applicability as yes. And you have to get that form approved. And then only you can go and file AOC4 CFS as an independent filing. And there you have to refer that you have to refer your parent SRN of AOC4 or AOC4 NBFC. This is the process, and it's basically a two-step process, which means for you to file AOC4 CFS, first you have to go and fill parent form, and that form has to be approved. Then only you can proceed to file CFS. Now in V3, for all your prospective filings, if your parent form is getting filed in V3, then and if consolidation is applicable to you, AOC4 CFS also will always come as a linked filing to your AOC4, and in case of AOC4 NBFC, it is AOC4 CFS NBFC will come. So which means if thumb rule is if your parent form is getting filed in V3 system, that is AOC4 or AOC4, and you're selecting consolidation applicability as yes in the parent form, system will enable AOC4 CFS or AOC4 CFS NBFC also as a linked filing. So the only exception to this is, suppose if you have already done your parent filing in V2 system earlier, whether it is for this year or the previous years, only for those cases, system has enabled AOC4 CFS or AOC4 NBFC CFS to be filed in the form of independent filing. Otherwise, it is always come as a linked filing. It is if your parent form is getting filed in V3. So this is about CFS, and next form is CSR2, which is to report your CSR details. So again, CSR2 in V2 system, it used to get filed in the form of an independent filing. So which means once you file your AOC4 or AOC4 NBFC or AOC4 XBRL, companies or the stakeholders used to file this CSR2 form as an independent filing. Now in V3 system going forward, if you are filing your parent form for the financial year 24-25 onwards, then the CSR2 also will come as a linked filing to your parent form. Again, here important point to note, the CSR2 will also come as a linked filing to XBRL. It is not just for AOC4 and AOC4 NBFC. Accordingly, if you see AOC4 XBRL layout, we have added one CSR applicability section. So once you say that section 135 is applicable or you want to report unspent CSR amounts, then CSR2 form will be enabled. And only the one point that you have to ensure is basically the CSR2 will be enabled as a linked filing only when your nature of filing is other than provisional and adopted financial statements, which means if your nature is either adopted or for revision is anyways hardly used filing, hardly used purpose, which means indirectly only when you file the form for adopted financial statements, only then the system will enable you to file CSR2. The reason is basically whenever you're filing provisional and adopted, anyway, you have to go and file adopted financial statements, right? And we have this concept called project ID generation. And if we allow the user to, system to enable CSR2 twice, and it will lead to duplicate project ID generation. So to ensure that system will only generate CSR2 as a linked filing only if the nature of financial statements filing is either adopted or for revision. So this is about CSR2. And last linked form is extract of auditor's report consolidated. So for this consolidated report for auditor will come into the system whenever CFS is getting filed as a linked filing. So or you are filing CFS in the form of independent filing. So thumb rule is whenever you are filing CFS, extract of auditor's report consolidation also will come as a linked filing. So these are the quick points to highlight about the linked forms applicability. So whenever you're filing the forms, so we would request you to make sure to select the correct purposes, especially with respect to these 5-6 points, so that your linked filings will get enabled correctly. So now let us come back to offline utility. What are all the important steps that we need to make sure? And what is the process, the high-level process before going into a detailed presentation on the offline functionality? So first, as we said, in case of offline utility, your form is bifurcated into 2 sections. One is the section where you need to fill in your details, which we call it as basic information of that company or of that SRN or of that form, wherein you have to log into the system and you have to fill in that basic information. Then you have to click and submit the button. So this basic information, we will explain you what all basic information that are required and why it is relevant to capture this information. So once you fill in that basic information onto the screen, wherein you have to log into the system with business user ID and you have to select the offline utility form, and then you have to fill in basic information and click on submit. And basis that selection, whatever the linked filings that are applicable to the user will be enabled again on the web screen only. There also, for each of the linked filing, we have captured few basic information for each of such linked filing, where you have to provide such information on the screen only, even for linked filings. So once you fill up this information, basic information of your parent form and the linked filing forms, then you have to click on proceed button. What actually you are still on the web screen only. So wherein you are providing basic information of parent form and then you're going with linked filing basic information and then you click on proceed button. Then what actually happens is system will generate one zip folder which contains all your Excels. Basically, this each Excel is for each form. So at least minimum 3 Excels would come. As I mentioned, extract of board report and extract of auditor standalone is mandatory linked filing. So if you're filing with basic information with select all other sections are selected as no, not applicable, then you will at least get 3 Excel files in that zip folder. So, and once the zip folder is downloaded, so you will get a message saying that your zip folder is it got generated, you can download these files. So one complete blank set of parent and applicable linked filings will be generated in that form Excel. Please note that in that Excel, only the previous year figures, if applicable. So if you've already done your previous year filing and that SRN is under approved status, this blank Excel, whatever we are going to get, system is going to generate would contain all your previous year numbers pre-filled. And also whatever the basic information that you have filled in as part of web screen, those also will be visible to the user. But only the important point to note is if there is any field which is part of your basic information field, those fields, even though we are displaying those fields in the Excel, but those fields are non-editable in the Excel. If you want to make any change in those basic information related fields, you have to go back to the application history and click on edit form, and then only you will be able to edit such fields. The reason is basically if you go and edit something here, the linked filing logic may get changed because we don't know what is the change that user is going to do, right? Accordingly, if the field is covered as part of basic information web screen, all such fields are allowed to be changed only through that screen only, not in the Excel. And then from here, once Excel is downloaded, you can directly log out from the system and you can fill in all your Excels offline mode. Once you fill in all your Excels in offline mode, then you have to, once you are ready with all your Excels, then you have to come back to the screen and you have to upload all these Excels one by one. And once you get a success message for one Excel, you can proceed with second Excel. And in case of any validation errors, so then you have, the system will display one error file, which is in the form of text file with all the error messages. Then you can go back and correct the errors. And once these errors are removed, then you will be able to proceed with uploading of the next Excel. And after that, you will be attaching all your attachments, whatever the attachments that are applicable, and then finally you will go and submit the form. These are all the high level understanding of the offline functionality, which we will explain you in detail in coming slides. So how do I access the offline form? So this is the navigation. You go to MCA services, company filing, and click on annual filings. And here, if you can see, there is two options that are available: AOC for financial statements and other documents, and AOC for financial statements and other documents -offline. So whenever you want to use the filing of offline functionality or offline utility, please try to select the second option, that is for AOC for financial statements and other documents offline. So, and please, very important point to note, to access AOC-4 form, offline forms and child forms, so you need to make sure to enable your pop-ups. So this is one of the important point to note. Please enable your pop-up in your browser where you want to access your AOC-4 offline forms. So let us quickly see, we are talking about what is basic fields of parent form, link forms and all, right? What all fields are that are, we are calling it as basic fields, and what is the relevance of those fields. So we will just quickly show you the layout of offline utility. Whenever you open any AOC for offline utility, what actually happens, what all fields that you see in that utility is what actually we are quickly show you the layout, and then we'll proceed with the screenshots of actual actual AOC for offline utility screens. So whenever you click on AOC for offline utility, so the form will open like this, and wherein system will ask you to enter the SIN number. It is like any other form. What you do first, we will enter the SIN number basis the SIN number. So here your authorized capital or number of members gets pre-filled depending on whether your company is having share capital or not. And then name, address, email ID, everything gets pre-filled. And then you will be entering your financial year for which you are trying to file the form, and also the nature of financial statements. And all this information you will be providing here. And then signatory details. That is, we have two sections. One is for the signatories for the board reports signing, and signatories for auditors report signing. So all this information we will be asking the user to enter in the basic information, that is web screen only. And then the next comes AGM details. You have to provide all the AGM details and including extensions if any. And now field number 8, if you see, field number 8 A is for whether company is a subsidiary company. You have to say yes or no. So then if you say yes, then the system will ask you to enter your holding company details. And field number 8E. So this is what we were talking about, the applicability of the linked filing, right? So here, if you say yes, then system will enable AOC1 as a linked filing. So you have to select this field yes or no. But if you see, all other sections are not part of your Excel, web layout. Everything else will be captured in the form of Excel through AOC1 form. So the next section is auditor details, wherein here, even though number of fields are higher, you have to enter the ADT1 SRN here, and basis the SRN entered, everything, all the entire details would get pre-populated automatically basis the SRN that you are entering. But there are few key points that we need to highlight. We will explain as part of common issues. So otherwise, mostly this SRN of ADT1, if the moment you enter, the details would get pre-populated. And then you have to select type of industry, and the next is about the Schedule 3 applicability. So very important. So if you say yes against this field, only then balance sheet and profit and loss account sections will be enabled in your Excel. If not, then balance sheet and profit and loss account will not be enabled. And now next field, if you see whether consolidated financial statements required, yes or no. So if you say yes here, then system will ask you to file AOC for CFS as a linked filing. And the next section is for providing your books of account details. So this is again the address section. And then we have one more point, one more linked filing related point here, whether any transaction entered with related party. So once you say yes here, system will automatically enable AWS2 as a linked filing. And there are some radio buttons which are relating to cost audit related points. And then the CSR applicability. Again, if you say yes, if you say yes, section 135 is applicable to me, or there is unspent CSR amount which we want to report, then only system will enable CSR2. However, as a linked filing, provided your financial year is basically on or after 24-25. So next section is about the secretarial audit auditor details. So you have to select whether secretarial audit is applicable, yes or no. And you just have to enter how many number of observations are there. If yes, audit is applicable, and if there is any observation, you have to just enter how many number of observations are there. We're not asking if you see, you cannot see any tabular information, or you don't have any information which is actually in the form of numbers, wherein you have to provide the numbers or the data is to be provided in a tabular format. You don't see any such sections, because everything bases the number of observations made. For example, here secretarial audit, we will be enabling the Excel sheet only. Excel sheet we will enable those many number of observation related rows wherein you can provide the data in the Excel. So this is how these are all the major these are all the basic information that we ask you to enter in AOC-4 parent form. Once you click on this submit button, then whatever the sections that whatever the applicabilities or the radio buttons that you have selected, system will enable separate panels for all the applicable linked filings. And again, in those linked filings also, we will ask you to enter only the basic information. So we will just quickly talk about few linked filings. AOC for CFS is similar to AOC for parent form. So I will just skip this section. Now let us go to AOC1. So as we said, AOC1 will be enabled only when you say S against field number 80, right? And once you say S against that field, system will enable this panel in the web screen only. Please note that we are still at the web screen. We have not gone to the Excel part. So if you see here also we are only asking the user to enter only numbers. And why we are asking the user to enter the numbers here is basically the basis the number that is entered, we will generate a predefined Excel for you to fill in the data. So suppose if you say you have number of subsidiaries are 10, we will enable the Excel only to enter only 10 subsidiary details. So that is why if you see all these numbers, if you see the panel for linked filing is only mostly limited to one page only, and mostly we will be asking you to enter the number only. So here, if you can see, we are asking how many number of subsidiaries are there, how many number of subsidiaries are yet to commence the operations, how many are dissolved or liquidated or sold, and same way, how many number of joint ventures or associate companies are there. So only the numbers have to be entered here, and you have to click on submit. And once you submit this panel, and the next linked filing will be opened. And if you can see, AOC2 is also a single page screen wherein we are asking the user to enter only if the related party transactions are applicable to you, yes in the form only, then first of all this panel gets enabled. And if you say yes, on the as part of basic information on the web screen, you have to provide how many number of contracts or arrangements or transactions are there at arm's length basis or not at arm's length basis. You just have to enter this number on the screen and then click on submit. Same way CSR2, as I mentioned, it will come into the it will be applicable only when you say that yes, CSR is applicable under section 135, or you want to report unspent CSR amount. Then only these sections will be enabled. Please note that CSR2 basic information may have it is not limited to just one page, because as we all know, this is one of the complex form which has multiple tables, multiple sections. That is why if you can see, we are asking all this information which is main prerequisite for us to generate the Excels in different sections. For example, I'll show you. So this is the basic information of CSR applicability. And then if you can see field number 7, which is for the amount spent during the current financial year. Again, it is bifurcated into ongoing projects, other than ongoing projects, or both. So if you see here, we are only asking how many number of ongoing projects are there, other than ongoing projects are there. But that entire table, which is containing more than 10 columns to report your amount spent on CSR activities, whether it is ongoing or other than ongoing activities, everything, that entire table will come as part of your Excel, but you have to report how many number of such projects or ongoing projects or other than ongoing projects are there to report. So depending on this, system will generate a predefined Excels for you to fill in offline mode. Same way, similar to the section 7, which is for amount spent during the current financial year, we have section 10, which is relating to unspent amount of previous years, where you want to spend during the current financial year, either on the current running projects or you want to create a new projects for such amounts. So then section 10 is applicable. So here also we have the section for called ongoing projects other than ongoing projects. So here also we will be asking such applicabilities and how many such projects are there. Similarly, there is one section for section 11 and section 12 where we will ask the user to enter number of CSR projects or number of capital assets created or acquired. So accordingly, the table gets generated. So which means, to put it in a simple terms, we will ask the user to enter basic information which requires the system to generate predefined Excels for you in a predefined format. And once you submit this form, and the next link filing will be enabled. Next is for extract of auditor's report standalone. Here also it is only a single page with two fields only. You just have to enter how many number of qualifications, reservations or adverse remarks are there. If nothing is there, you can enter 0. And if you say 2 here, so Excel will generate with two rows for you to provide your observations, reservations or qualifications. And then next you have to say whether CARO is applicable, yes or no. If you say yes, then all CARO related line items will be displayed for you to fill in the data, else the section itself will not be enabled in the Excel. This is about extract of auditor's report standalone. Next is extract of auditor's report consolidated. It is similar to standalone, except one extra field where you have to report your subsidiary company related qualifications or observations, which is as per CARO 2020 order. So you have to provide that number also here, and then system will enable the Excel with required number of rows. And the next is extract of board's report. Here, as I said, this will come into this is a mandatory linked filing for all the prospective filings which are happening in V3 system. And here also we will be asking only the number related line items. None of the tables are displayed on the web screen. So you just have to enter how many number of meetings held or how many committee meetings and how many number of transactions are there for section 186. All these radio buttons and number of transactions you have to enter. And this is the last linked filing. Please note that even though I've displayed all the applicable linked filings, all linked filings are not applicable for all companies. Most of the small companies will end up filing your AOC-4 with extract of board report and extract of auditor's report only, wherein both these are actually one page web screens for your filling your linked filing, whereas basic information of parent form is common for all type of companies. So what actually happens is once you submit, once you are at the last linked filing web screen page, once you click on submit button, then you will get a message saying that Excel generation is in progress, please wait. And once Excel gets generated, so you will get this message called Excel generation is completed, click to download. So once you download this, so as I mentioned, one zip folder will get downloaded with all your applicable with parent form and all your applicable linked filings, so that I will show you. And after that, the process is basically like this. When you till here, you have to connect to you have to log in with your system, and then once you download your Excels of that particular company, so you can log off from the system and you can fill everything in the Excel. But I will tell you the process or the steps that you need to ensure before filling the data in Excel also. So once you fill in all your data in offline mode in all those Excels, whether it is parent form or linked filings, once you complete that activity, you have to come back to the system and log in to the same user ID and go to the application history and click on edit form. You will land on this page here. So this is the last saved page, right? So you will land on this page and then you have to upload each Excel one by one. So whatever the Excel that is applicable to you. So in my example, AOC1 will always it is a parent form, and then at least last this extract of auditor's report standalone and extract of board report. These three will come mandatorily, and others will depend on the selection that you've made in the parent form. So once you upload your Excel for the parent form and you have to submit, and then if there are any errors, then system will display one text file which contains all your errors so that you can go back and correct the errors in the Excel. So like this, once you have to upload one by one Excel for your parent and applicable linked filings, and then finally you have to click on proceed button. With this, all your Excels are uploaded. Now, please note that, as I said, form is bifurcated into two parts, the basic information and the remaining information. And the left out part is attachments. So once you upload all your Excels, then system will ask you to attach all the relevant attachments for both parent and linked filings. There will be a separate sections for parent form. So whatever the attachments that are applicable or conditional mandatory, all this will be enabled for the user so that they can attach the attachments, which means attachments have to be attached on the web screen only, not in the Excel. So once you do like this for all the linked filings, then finally you have the submit button. If you are filing CSR2 as a linked filing, so before submit, system will mandate you to click on generate project ID. Wherever you have ongoing projects, whether it is during the year or you are creating ongoing projects for the unspent amount of previous year, it is mandatory for you to click on generate project ID so that the project IDs get displayed in a PDF once you download the document from the application history. So if CSR2 is not applicable, directly you can click on submit button. Once you click on submit button, then SRN gets generated. And from there, the normal process. That is, once your SRN gets generated, you have to download your PDF document for parent and linked filings, and then you have to affix your DSC, upload the DSC, make the payment. Entire process is same for both online and offline. So this is about the layout or the information that we are capturing on the basic screen. So now we'll quickly go back to the presentation. So as I have displayed the layout in Word format, let us quickly see the screens, how you can see the screens when you click on offline utility. So all this, most of these points we have already discussed, but I'll just quickly explain. So one important point to highlight here is whenever you are filing offline form, offline utility as your mode of filing, please make sure to give the basic information correctly, including applicability of linked filings. Suppose if you have selected yes in field number 80 and linked filing AOC1 is enabled, and later on you realized it is not applicable, or suppose in linked filings you have entered 10 subsidiaries and later on you've realized either you have to change the number to 8 or 10, you have to come back and make the changes in the application history. And if you're making any change in the parent form, then entire linked filings would go. So we will explain you the edit form scenarios also. So our the point that we want to highlight here is whenever you're filing the form in offline mode, please make sure to give proper details, the correct details, and applicable, especially the applicability of the linked filings correctly, and numbers whatever we are asking on the base on the linked filing screens are correct, so that you the rework can be avoided. Else you may have to end up filling the Excel again depending on the change that you are doing after Excel generation. So this is how you have to fill in the form. So all these points are common for both online or offline. You will enter the SIN number and system will pre-fill all these details. So I'll quickly explain these fields. I think we have already discussed these fields. All these are basic information which is part of your web screen. So here, all these points I will skip because ADT1, SR and all these points we have already seen in the layout. Now here, if you see, now I am at the screen of parent form web screen layout, and you can see here the submit button is coming here. Once you click on the submit button, then what actually happens is your linked filings will be enabled like this in a accordion or panel manner, in a sequential manner. So in this case, we have chosen a minimum linked filing, that is extract of auditor's report, standalone and board report. And you can see only the extract of auditor report got enabled here. And sorry. Now, when it comes to extract of auditor's report standalone, we have seen, right, only two fields are actually are required to be provided as part of your basic information, that is number of qualifications or reservations or adverse remarks or disclaimer pointers. And CARA applicability, you have to say yes or no. So only this information is what you have to give on the basic information that is on web screen, and then you have to click on submit button. And then the next linked filing will be enabled. This is just extract of board report in our example. So here also you have to provide only the basic information relating to whether your company is OPC or small company as at the end of the financial year. And then number of board meetings, committee meetings, and section 186 applicability and the transaction details. Then you have to click on submit button. So after submitting all your basic information of your linked filings, then you will be clicking on final submit, and here you can see Excel generation completed, click to download. So once all the information is submitted and once the zip folder is generated, system will show this display this message wherein you can click on download, and you can see this is how your zip file gets generated with all your parent and linked filings. In our example, since we are demonstrating with minimum linked filings, you can see there are 3 Excel files that got generated. And if you observe, it is having a form ID also, followed by your SIN number and followed by the financial year. So one of the major reason why we have introduced this offline is to deal with multiple companies at one go. So accordingly, your file name itself contains your form ID, the SIN number, and the financial year for which this Excel file relates to, especially when you are filling multiple Excels for multiple companies at one go. So you should not get confused. So file name itself will says what is the company for which you are trying to fill in the form, and what is the form ID for which you are trying to fill the data. So this is how the zip folder gets generated. And then once you download the Excel, so this is one, first we will show you how the parent form looks. So once you click on AOC-4, the first page will contain some instructions about your, what all prerequisites to enable your Excel files, what is the version of your MS Excel, and all other pointers, key important points which you need to know. Just go through these instructions before starting the filing, and then you can click on the next tab, that is Form tab. So now point number one, first point that we need to highlight here is whenever you are filing offline form for the first time, you please make sure to open your instruction help kit, which is created separately for offline forms. Please note that instruction kit is not same for both online and offline. There's a separate instruction kit available for offline form. Please open that instruction kit simultaneously, at least for 2-3 companies, unless you get that comfort on these offline forms, unless and until you know which field is mandatory, which field is not mandatory. Because please note that everything you are filling offline, so validation happens at a later point in time, not like online form where the validation happens then and there only on the each page, right? So which means you should know which field to be entered, what to be entered, whether it is mandatory or conditional mandatory. If it is conditional mandatory, in which scenario it is conditional mandatory, what all validations that I need to check, everything is written very clearly in the instruction kit of offline. So if you are trying to fill this form without checking offline form, you may face a lot of validation errors at the time of uploading the Excel. So we would request you to go open the offline help kit, or this PPT is also available on the MCA portal. You can open this PPT as well for filing your offline form, at least for 2-3 companies initially. So now coming back to the Excel part, this is how your Excel looks. So as I mentioned, your Excel would contain, so I'll just quickly show you the blank filled in Excel, and then I will show you the screen so that this may help you. So once you open this Excel, this is how the Excel gets opened, the README, then the form. You can see here, whatever the basic information that you have provided in the base screen, that web screen, all those will get pre-populated here, and these fields are non-editable. You cannot edit any of the fields which are provided as part of your basic web layout screen. So that is why all these fields are grayed out. So you will not be able to edit it, but you can see what is the company, what details that I have entered in the parent in the web screen that you can see. So all the details will get pre-populated. And here, if you see the form, Excel will come like this. Now the balance sheet section, which is part B, which is talking about your balance sheet. So this is how your PDF looks. Sorry, Excel looks when you download a blank Excel, wherein all your data which is provided as part of base the web screen will get pre-populated and non-editable, and all your previous year numbers also, provided you've already done your filing and this SRN is approved for the previous year, only then your previous year numbers gets pre-filled, and you can see those values got pre-filled. And however, previous year numbers are editable even though it got pre-filled from the system. If you want to edit as part of your reclassification or regrouping, so you can go and edit the numbers, and whenever you are trying to edit the number, system will ask you to give a reason, which is again optional in nature. It is not mandatory to provide the reason for each and every reclassification. So however, if user can provide this information, you can provide the reason why you want to reclassify or regroup the values which got pre-filled as per your previous year filing. So this is how you have to fill in the data, which means the previous year data, mostly if you think that there is no reclassification or regrouping is required, you can leave those fields as is. And then you can fill the current year data, and then followed by your balance sheet schedules. And then we have financial parameters section. So I will just explain you section wise what all the key points that you need to know. I just quickly want to show you how like Excel looks. Then the section called share capital raised during the year. And all this information, cost audit related information, anyway, it is already pre-filled from the parent form. And then the P&L, and followed by schedules, and followed by P&L per financial parameters and number of products, and then the declaration part and the certification. So this is how your Excel looks, which means except attachments, whatever the fields which are not covered in your web screen, everything else is covered in the form of Excel. So wherein you have to fill the details in the Excel. And while filling any of this data, you are not connected to internet, no validation happens at this stage. So now let me quickly take you through the fields wherein we have to make sure these are correct. So as I mentioned, so let me put it in presenting. So whatever the fields that you have entered already in the web screen will be displayed and non-editable. So now let us quickly start from the balance sheet section, which is the main section. See, point number one that you have to note here is the balance sheet section will be enabled. Balance sheet and profit and loss account section will be enabled only if you say that Schedule 3 is applicable to you. If the Schedule 3 is not applicable, even in online form, this balance sheet and profit and loss account will not be enabled, because maybe you are a banking company or insurance company where separate format of balance sheet and profit and loss account is applicable. Only when you say Schedule 3, then only the section will be enabled with all these pre-populated numbers of previous year, and wherein you are expected to provide your current year numbers. Now, important points to note. Whatever the line items that you see in the entire balance sheet, including all, whether it is current assets, non-current assets, or current liabilities, non-current liabilities, equity part, and all these line items are mandatory fields, which means if you do not have long-term borrowings or short-term borrowings, you cannot leave this field as blank. You are expected to enter at least a 0 in these fields. Because why I'm highlighting this field is because once if you leave any such field as blank in the Excel and you try to upload the Excel, there you will get an error saying that so-and-so field is null. So please make sure whenever you're filling your balance sheet, and as far as current year numbers are concerned, if your Schedule 3 is applicable, all current year numbers related line items are mandatory. If field is not applicable to you, you at least have to enter 0. And coming to previous year numbers mostly it gets pre-filled if you've done your previous year filing. Suppose if the previous year filing is not done, or or you have not done your filing at all in the system till now, but you want to report your previous year numbers, you have to enter the previous year reporting period here. Only then the next line items, all these line items of balance sheet schedule and P&L schedule, balance sheet schedule will be enabled for you to enter. So all these pointers are whatever are there in the help kit are actually given here also. You can read these pointers before filling the data once, so that you will know which field you basically, to put it in simple words, you cannot leave any field as blank here as far as current year data is concerned. And if you enter any date in the previous reporting period, you cannot leave any previous year data line item also as a blank. So now here, one more point to highlight as far as balance sheet is concerned with respect to the pre-filling of previous year numbers. So there's a field called trade payables in current liabilities. So in V2 system, this trade payable field was a single field. Uh, and users, companies used to provide this information against that field. But now if you see the Schedule 3, this trade payables got bifurcated into dues to MSMEs other than MSMEs long back, but this change was not taken, not carried in V2 form layout, which means in V3 we have actually made the trade payables as a label, and then inside that label we have added two line items, that is dues to MSMEs and dues to other than MSMEs, which means that trade payables are required to be reported in these two line items going forward in V3. Now, what about the previous year numbers? Suppose I have given 1,000 rupees as my trade payables in the previous year. How this value is going to get bifurcated as part of the pre-fill? So to answer this question, the answer is the trade payable value will not be pre-filled automatically from your previous year filing, because the field itself is bifurcated into two parts, and we don't know whether it is that 1,000 rupees is for dues to MSMEs or dues to other than MSMEs. So we would request you to bifurcate the value and provide the information. So this is one thing. So which means previous year numbers will not get pre-filled in this case. You have to enter the values manually, even for previous year data. And as I mentioned, if any field is not applicable to you, please make sure to enter the 0, else you will get an error at the part as part of your Excel upload. And also make sure that your total liabilities and equals to total assets, because all these validations will not happen here. You have to cross check all this before uploading the Excel. Next is about the balance sheet schedules, which is for long-term borrowings unsecured and short-term borrowings unsecured. Here also, all these current year numbers are mandatory, and previous year numbers, if you have something in the previous year data, it gets pre-filled. Else you have to enter these values manually. And as I mentioned, all the numbers are mandatory in nature. We have written whether these values are mandatory or not. If the field is not applicable to you, you have to make sure to enter 0. Also, there are certain validations because we have long-term borrowings and short-term borrowings in the balance sheet schedule, right? Which is includes your unsecured, secured, everything. Now here only we are taking part of the information. So whenever you're providing this information of say long-term borrowings unsecured, this value should be less than or equal to whatever you provided there. Suppose your total borrowings, long-term borrowings are 100 rupees, and you're trying to provide long-term borrowings unsecured as 110, system will throw an error. So this message, if it is online form, you will get it there only. But here, since it is offline, you have to make sure that this value you are giving the correct value as part of filling the schedules. So which means in my example, your total borrowing itself is 100 rupees and you try to give 110 rupees, you will not get any error in the Excel, but as part of Excel upload, you will get an error saying that this long-term borrowings unsecured is greater than total long-term borrowings that you have in balance sheet. So these kind of validations you have to make sure. So at least if you fill 1 or 2 forms, you will get an idea so that next forms will be very easier for you to fill in. So next is again schedules only, the same logic. You please follow the instructions. If the field is mandatory, you have to provide the 0. And wherever the validations are there, suppose like here also long-term loans and advances, if you can see here highlighted in yellow, sum of net long-term loans advances, secured, unsecured, and net long-term loans advances dot should be less than or equal to long-term. So basically what it says is whatever the values that you're providing, the bifurcation of secured, unsecured, doubtful, everything should be less than or equal to your total long-term total loans and advances, right? So that is the validation that we have. So whenever you are filling Excels, please make sure to fill in the proper data, and it should be in line with your main balance sheet schedule. So don't give the numbers which are beyond your total long-term borrowings or long-term loans and advances which were provided in your balance sheet schedule. So next is trade receivable schedule. Again, here also same logic. And here, if you see the validation, sum of net trade payables should be equal to trade receivables under the head balance sheet. Here also, if you try to give any value other than whatever you reported in your balance sheet schedule as trade receivables, system will throw an error as part of Excel upload. So these are simple points only. But if you don't read the instruction kit, you may miss this point and you may enter random number, or you may not enter anything also. Then also system will throw an error. So please read the instructions for each of the sections and then fill in the data and then proceed, so that you can avoid all these Excel validation errors as part of Excel upload. Next is financial parameter section. So please note that financial parameter section, which contains around 47 line items, are mandatory for all type of companies. Even schedule 3 is not applicable also. System will ask you to enter 47 line items. And if most of these line items may not be applicable for all the companies, especially for small companies, you can use copy paste functionality. Or I mean, if it is not applicable to you, you can just enter 0, you can copy paste also. Suppose if I enter 0 here, you can simply copy paste here like this. Whereas in online form, you have to enter 0 47 times in online form. So you can simply copy paste as 0 here, and then wherever values are there, you can enter the values. That way also you can proceed. So this copy paste functionality is also very useful for the stakeholders, especially the financial parameter section, wherein the small companies may not be having all these financial parameters. So you can read here, all these fields are mandatory in this section. If any field is not applicable to the company, please don't leave the field as blank. You have to enter 0 at least. So next is about share capital raised during the period. Again, here also we have some validations. You have to enter certain validations, certain fields, and if you are entering some number of shares, then you are expected to enter total nominal amount and paid up capital also. And if any field is not applicable to you, you please at least enter the 0. And total premium field is mandatory only when number of shares is greater than 0. So there are certain validations which are required to be followed, because if you're filling offline, right, so you have to know which all fields need to be entered and which all fields not to be required to be entered. So this is one of the section. And next is about the profit and loss account. Whatever the validations that we have discussed for balance sheet, the same are applicable here also. That is, all the line items are of balance profit and loss account, whether it is for income or expenses or taxes. All these line items are mandatory. If any line item is not applicable to the company, you are expected to enter at least 0 in all these line items. As far as current year is concerned and previous year, it is same logic. If you have previous year numbers, it gets pre-filled automatically. If you do not have any previous year numbers, now you want to give the previous year numbers, first you enter the previous reporting period, and then system will enable you to enter all these values. Please don't leave any fields as blank whenever you're providing this information, whether it is for current or previous. And as far as the previous year number pre-filled for other income, similar to trade payables that we've discussed in balance sheet, there is one field called other income in profit and loss account, wherein in V2 it was a single field. Now this field got bifurcated into 4 different line items in V3 system, which means other income of the previous year also will not get pre-filled. You have to provide that by such bifurcation, and accordingly you please make sure that your total income and total expenses, profit before tax, after tax, everything is matching with your previous year financial statements. So which means other income will not get pre-filled automatically. You have to provide the bifurcation. So this is about profit and loss account. And similar to balance sheet schedules, we have some P&L schedules also. And one this is for foreign exchange earnings and foreign exchange expenditure. We have separate schedules for this. You have to provide this information. And again, the logic is same. The current reporting data is mandatory and previous reporting logic is same. So if you have the previous year data, it gets pre-filled, else you have to enter, provided you enter your previous reporting period at the beginning. So, and here we have similar to financial parameters for balance sheet, which is having around 47 line items. For profit and loss account, we have 10 financial parameter section. Please note that all these are mandatory. If any field is not applicable to you, please enter the 0. And now here, important point to highlight here is there is one line item called 3 and 4, income in foreign exchange, foreign currency, and expenditure in foreign currency, right? If it is online form, these values gets pre-filled from your previous schedules, whatever we have seen in the previous slide, that is earnings in foreign exchange and expenditure in foreign exchange. So now since it is offline form, we cannot pre-fill the data. So which means you are expected to enter the income in foreign currency and expenditure in foreign currency, whatever you reported in the previous schedules. The total should match, else you will get an error at the time of Excel upload. So this is what we have written. Income in foreign currency and expenditure in foreign should match with the values entered in field total earnings in foreign currency under the head. So basically, these two values, whatever you're going to enter, should exactly match with the sum of this total value, whatever you are reporting here. Okay, so this is about the financial parameters of P&L. So now quickly, this is for providing your product or services details. So this is a common functionality, whatever we have in online. And next is for secretarial auditor section. So we have seen, right, if there are any observations relating to secretarial audit, you might have provided number of observations, right? So in this example, we have provided one as observation. So again, panel got enabled for to provide that information of one observation. And here we will also ask you to enter the details of your secretarial auditor, which on V2 system, it used to come in the form of attachment only. Now in V3 system, secretarial auditor details also are part of your form, including his membership number, COP number, etc. So you have to provide that information along with the observations. So this is how you will fill the parent form Excel. So, and then the declaration part. So you have to provide the director who is going to sign the form on behalf of company, and also professional certification if it is applicable. If your company is OPC or a small company, it is optional. Otherwise, it is mandatory. So you have to fill in all the professional who is going to certify the details also. And here, one important point that we want to highlight as part of professional certification. So whenever you're selecting category as chartered accountant or cost accountant, you are expected to provide the membership number, leave COP field as blank. Whereas if you're selecting category of the professional as company secretary, please give only the COP number, leave a membership number field as blank. Don't give both the fields for all the categories. System will throw an error because in case of company secretary, system will expect you to enter only the COP number, and for other two cases, that is chartered accountant and cost accountant, system will ask you to enter only the membership number. So please don't give both the fields here, so else you will get an error as part of Excel upload. So this is how you will fill the details. And next is extract of auditor's report standalone. So as we have seen, based on the number of observations that you have given in the base Excel, so you will get those many number of rows with type of remark, what is your observation, and along with the auditor comments. So however, if you have more number of observation like beyond 20, so system will only enable this Excel only up to 20. If it is beyond 20, you may have to provide those remaining details in the form of optional attachments. Right now, the form is designed for only 20 observations. And then there are some sections which are as per auditor's report and conditions. There are line items that are provided. Mostly these are in the form of text boxes wherein you are expected to provide the details. And what is the, number of characters that are allowed, whether it is a text box or numeric box, everything is written in the instruction kit. Please open the instruction kit if you have any doubt whether this field is applicable to me or not, in which scenario this becomes applicable, everything is written in the instruction kit. So next is Caro applicability. As we've said, only if you say yes in the web screen, then only this Caro related table will be enabled. Please note that this Caro line items are actually as per Caro 2020 order. And if you're filing a form which is for which Caro 2020 is not applicable, maybe you may have to select a clause not applicable for now, because right now the entire line items, whatever displayed in Caro is basically as per Caro 2020 order. And then next, you like this, you have to fill in all the Excels. Next is extract of board report. So then here you have to enter basis the number that you entered in the board report. So you will be entering all these board meeting details. And then in as far as board report is concerned, there are so many line items you can see in board report, but most of these line items are not applicable for OPCs and small companies. In case OPCs, small companies, only Rule 80 related clauses are applicable. So please read the instruction kit to know whether which all clauses are applicable for small companies and other than small companies. So accordingly, you can fill the data. So because if you don't read the instruction kit here, you will not be knowing whether this field is mandatory or not, right? So please read the instructions for at least one or two forms. Then you will understand which is required to be filled in mandatory, which is not required. Please note that we have instruction kit separately for all these linked filings also for offline forms. So then auditor's remarks, whatever the remarks that user has provided in extract of auditor's report, and board of directors have to comment both on statutory auditor remarks and also the secretarial auditor remarks. And then we have so many line items relating to your deposits and deferred in payment of deposits. So all these fields, wherever it is mandatory, you have to provide. Please read the instructions before filling the data. And if any field is not applicable to you, but system mandates you to enter something, so you just have to enter the 0 if it is a numeric value, and if it is a text box, please enter not applicable if that field is not applicable to you, but system is asking you to enter something. So this is about extract of board's report. So now coming to the last part. So once you are filled in all these Excels, so this is how you have to go and upload AOC-4 Excel first, and then choose file. Then please upload the Excel in order to they are appearing in the list. So you can see here, suppose let us say if there are any errors, then system will display one message like this. This is for extract of the director's report. You can see with the director underscore the SIN number followed by the financial year for which you are trying to file the form. With one click of this, one error file gets opened. This is how your error text file will be displayed to the user with all the error messages where he has to go and correct the data. So then the final, after this, basically you have to click on proceed button once you upload all your parent and linked filing related Excels. Then the final step is to attach your attachments. Once you do all your mandatory or conditional mandatory attachments, then go for linked filing related attachments. Mostly linked filings mean most of the attachments are optional in nature only. Then finally you will click on submit button. And if it is CSR2 is applicable, you will click on project ID generation button. Else you will click on submit button. Finally, the SRN gets generated, and then it will be visible to in the application history. So then you can go for, as after this it is a normal regular process that you download the PDF and then affix the DSC and upload the form. So this is how you can view the document. So this is about the functionality and few key important points in terms of edit form scenarios. So basically, whenever you're filing offline form, now we have few set of data in the form of basic, the web screen, and most of the data is as part of your Excel, right? So once your Excel is generated, or you are at the beginning of the parent form and you want to go back and make some changes, what happens to my linked filings? Let us quickly discuss about that. So whenever basically user can edit the form by clicking on edit button, right? So any form can be edited as long as you have not uploaded your DSC or fixed PDF onto the portal, you can go and edit the form, right? Now, whenever you're trying to edit any offline form, you will system will display a pop-up message. The pop-up message will be displayed when the user expands parent form or accordion panel. That if user, so basically, suppose let us say you filled in something and you're coming back from the application history, and system will display one message saying that you've already filled some data, and if you want to make any change in the parent form, you can see here, if user changes any details in the parent form, then all the applicable linked filings would get reset. So please make sure, that is why we are highlighting again and again that your parent form data should be correct. So if if you download your Excels and you filled in all your linked filings and then realize that you've not given your AGM date is correct, or financial year end date is correct, or the radio buttons whatever you've selected are not correct, then you have to go back to the screen and you have to make some change in the parent form. That will reset all your linked filings. That is why please make sure to give the proper details whenever you're filling your basic information in your parent form. So we will be displaying this message that whenever you're clicking on parent form, so if you make some change in the parent form, so all your forms will get reset. This is the common message that you get whenever you click on edit scenario and you try to land on parent form or linked filing. Now, there may be different stages of filling the form wherein I might come from your screen, right? So let us talk about these scenarios. Suppose scenario number one, if the user leaves the page only after clicking on save button on the parent form. Suppose let us say I have logged into the system and I've clicked on AOC-4 offline and I filled parent form and I clicked on save button. Then I left the page and I've closed the screen. What happens in that case? In that case is basically whenever you're coming back from application history, what happens is, it is whether it is offline form or online form, whenever you are filling something and clicks on save button, and whenever you're coming back from application history and clicks on edit button, by default you will land on the last saved page, whether that page could be parent form or the linked filing. So in my example, I'm still at the parent form and I've saved something and I've closed the screen and I come back from application history, then you will land on to save you will land on your parent form, and then once you click on the save button on the first page, then only second section will be enabled. So please note that here you've not yet submitted the parent, so hence there is no issue with the linked filings. So linked filing accordion will not be visible to the user at this point in time because you've not submitted the parent form screen yet. So once you submit it, then all your parent linked filings will be enabled as per your applicability, and after that it is a normal process. So to put it in a simple words, if you have saved something, you fill something on the parent screen and you saved the page, and then you close the screen and coming back from application history, you will land on that page and you can continue directly from there. Okay, the next scenario is if user leaves the page after clicking on submit button on the parent form or accordion panel. So the scenario 2 is basically you have filled in entire parent form and you clicked on submit button, which means all your parent and all your linked filing panels or the accordions must have been enabled already, right? So now in this case, what actually happens is, and you clicked on submit button and you've not filled anything in the linked filings and you close the page, and now you're coming back from application history. Obviously, you will land on that last page where you submitted, that is at the accordion or panel level of linked filings. So all the forms applicable to the user will be shown as per the last submission of the parent form, because you've already submitted the parent form and you've not filled anything in the linked filing. So whatever the applicable linked filings as per your last submitted form will be displayed to the user. And now if you go back and make any change in the parent form, then you can see here, if user updates any details and clicks on submit button in the parent form coordinator panel, then a complete blank Excel will be opened again. So if you're making some change in the parent form, then again blank Excel for all the your linked filings would come. So the scenario number 3 is basically if you edit something in the linked filing. So in this case, suppose let us say you have already filled your parent form, linked filing, everything, and then as part of filling your Excel, you realize that you have entered number of subsidiaries as 10, but wherein you want to change it to either 15 or 5, for example. Then in that case, what actually happens? Am I supposed to fill in entire linked filing of extract of board report or extract of auditor, whatever? Is it required? Answer is no. Whenever you are making any change in the basic details of that linked filing, only that linked filing will get reset. All other data, including a parent and other linked filing data, would remain as is, so that only you can uh, fill in the current linked filing form for which you want to make the edit. Suppose let us say in my example, you want to increase your number of subsidiaries to 15. Then you can go back to the application history. Don't submit your parent form. Only make some change in that AOC-1 number of subsidiaries section and click on submit. And then if you generate the Excel, all the remaining Excels will be generated in a pre-filled format, whatever you had provided earlier. Only this AOC-1 will be generated in a blank file format. And even though, suppose, let us say you may ask me, what if I've already filled in 10 subsidiaries details already, why I have to enter it again? It is just a copy paste from your previous version of Excel. You can do that. Only the exception is basically if you are making any change in the extract of auditor's report standalone, then your enter extract of board report also will get set, because there are some validations with respect to the number of auditors observations, etc. So hence, if you are making any change in the linked form of extract of auditors report, your extract of directors report also will get reset. So please make sure to give correct number of observations and correct applicability of the CARO to avoid these kind of issues. So this is about the offline functionality. We'll quickly talk about few common issues that users are facing, then we'll open for Q&A. So the first common issue is basically PDF version is incorrect. So please make sure to upload the latest version of PDF whenever user is getting this error. Please make sure to upload the latest version of PDF, because we are allowing the user to edit the form even after an SRN generation, which means he may not be downloading the latest PDF after making the changes. Please make sure to upload the latest version of PDF. The personal details mismatch, we have seen this is one of the common issue in AOC-4 XBRL form, especially when our user is providing the details of the auditors, wherein their users are expected to provide their name as per ICA database, and they were facing some challenges. Please don't use any abbreviations or Mr. or Miss, Mrs. or something slashes and all. So don't use the extra characters. Just provide the name as per your ICA database to avoid errors in XML validation. And most important point is about invalid SRN of ADT1. So whenever you're filing AOC-4 form, please make sure to provide your ADT1 SRN, where the status should be first. There are 3 points to be noted whenever you are giving ADT1 SRN in your AOC-4 or NBFC or CFS forms. Point number 1, SRN should be, ADT1 SRN should be under approved status, and it should be associated with your company. And third important point is the whatever the SRN that you are referring, the due date should be within the range of whatever the period for which your ADT1 is filed. This is one of the major change that we have that happened in V3 system. Whereas in V2, we used to check only the association, whether ADT1 SRN is entered is associated and valid or not. Suppose what is actually, what used to happen in V2 is you file ADT1 for, say, for financial year 17-18, and if you try to refer that SRN in current year also, it used to accept. Now this is not going to happen. This is one of the most frequently asked query from the stakeholders, why this invalid SRN issue is coming up. So please make sure to provide the correct ADT1 SRN, where the end date for which your financial year end date for which you are trying to file the form, that end date should fall between your period from and period 2 that you have entered in section 4 of ADT1. And as far as offline form is concerned, since ADT1 section is available in your base web form screen, users were complaining that I've done everything, and at the end, as part of upload, I'm getting an error saying that ADT1 SRN is valid, and I have to redo the entire process. So accordingly, we have shifted this validation to a basic web screen only, which means if your SRN is not valid before generation of Excel only, you will get this error, so that you need not repeat the entire activity of Excel extraction and filling of the data again. So, but you have to make sure to provide correct ADT1 SRN, wherein your end date for which you are trying to file the form for a form of AOC-4 should fall between period from and period to for which you file your ADT1 form. An incorrect reference of SRN of while filing ADT1. So for casual vacancies, so whenever you're filing ADT1 SRN, the casual vacancy system will ask you to enter the SRN. Users are trying to enter ADT3 SRN instead of ADT1. Please make sure to enter ADT1 SRN in these cases. Invalid PAN of the auditor in ADT1. So this is about auditor's firm, wherein users are selecting category of auditor as proprietary firm, and they are trying to add two sections for auditor. They want to give firm registration number and also the auditor details, wherein system is restricting. So in those cases, we have, MCA has already published a creative on that. So in those cases, you please select the category as individual. So don't select auditor's firm, and then you try to give the same PAN number, then system will throw an error. So please read the creatives that are published by MCA for all these pointers. And DSC issues, if you are getting any DSC issues like DSC is not registered or valid, please try to use the latest software, and please ensure that you've actually logged in with the correct user and DSC is not expired. So then there are two line items for user IDs, which we've already discussed in earlier webinars. If you get an error saying that whenever you're trying to create the user ID, you're getting an error saying that your user ID is already exists, try to use the functionality of forgot user and recover your user ID. Or you have multiple user IDs, you have V2 ID, V3 ID, and you want to merge. There is a functionality called merge user ID functionality that is enabled in V3 system. Use that functionality to merge your V2 ID with V3, so that all your V2 SRNs can be displayed in your against your V3 ID. So profile updation required. So basically, whenever you are, especially you're filing the form with logging in with director or designated partner role, sometimes SIN will come as a drop down. So only the companies in which you are currently associated with only can file the form with the director or designated partner role. And we have got some complaints saying that I am associated with so and so company, but I am not getting that SIN in my list of drop down values. In those cases, please go and click on update profile, so that your latest associations will get configured in the drop down value. So please use that functionality for getting your SIN number. If at all you're associated with the company and not able to view that SIN number in the list of drop down values of the company. Multiple tab issues. Anyway, you must have seen it. So please, as of now, you will not be able to open multiple tabs within the same browser earlier. Sorry. Earlier, users were facing a lot of challenges with respect to DIN prefills or the SIN prefills because of this multiple tabs issue. Accordingly, we have blocked the multiple tab issue. So if you've created one tab and tried to click on another tab, so you will get an error saying that you cannot access multiple tabs. However, if you want to use MDS or ebook or any other FO service, simultaneously try to open the portal by using a different browser. And the next frequently asked question is about list of shareholders. List is not visible in MGT7. So this is also we have explained. List of shareholders in MGT7 is actually the limit is increased to 300 MB, right? So accordingly, we will not be able to display that huge file as part of your PDF. Hence, only the label will be displayed. However, the data that you uploaded as part of your web form submission, it will be, is stored in the system.
Vijaya, one I would, I'm
Yes, sir.
Shiraj Dara, the side Vijaya.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, one small query. We were receiving many queries relating to multiple tabs.
Yes, sir.
In the same system. Just highlight why we are not allowing it.
So, sir, whenever we suppose, let us say what is actually happening is if you create multiple tabs within the same browser, and there are so many DIN prefill logics or SIN prefill logic where we need to pre-populate the data of the directors or the SIN, and system was not actually, because of multiple tabs issue, system was not able to prefill the data, and there are some security concerns also that Why? Accordingly, these were actually this multiple tab concept is blocked. So, however, it is not actually a complete, deactivation. So you can open the portal by using a different browser. Within the browser, with multiple tabs are not allowed.
Okay, Vijay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Because we were getting many tickets on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Large number of tickets are coming on this, and people are
Yes.
expecting
Yes,
that
sir.
we should
Yes,
allow
sir.
this.
Yes, sir.
They were
So,
even going to the extent that change the SRS and allow this.
okay, sir. Then I'll go to the next point. So then type of company change after 31st March. So especially when you're filing MGT 7 or 7A, as at the end of the year, your company was a private company or public company, and after the financial year end date, your class of the company got changed. So in those cases, please make sure to give the correct class of company which is applicable as at the end of the financial year, because all your validations would work, including your minimum number of directors, checks, and all, on basis the selection that you do in the class of company field which is there in the MGT7 form. So this is applicable especially for the cases where your class got changed after the financial year end date and you want to file the form with a certain class which was applicable as at the end of the financial year. So declaration field to mention din of the directors. So this is for MGT 15. So to report your AGM details, we have got one recurring query saying that why the director DSC section is not enabled in the form. So this is because we have three sections. One is the chairman's DSC, and the director DSC, and then uh, company secretary DSC. So if you are selecting that chairman is going to sign the form, so then the director DSC is not enabled in the form. So which means if you're selecting chairman is going to sign the form, so only the chairman DSC is required, director DSC is not required. And save button is not visible in form AOC-4 form, one of the most commonly raised queries. So whenever you are coming back from application history or fill some data, the point number one, by default, you will land on the last saved page, whatever, whether it is child form or the parent form. Suppose, let us say you have filled an entire parent form of AOC-4 and a extract of board report also you have filled, and you clicked on save and close the screen, and when you come back from application history, you will land on the last page, saved page, which is extract of board report, not on the parent form. And if you want to make some change in the parent form, you have to use the previous buttons to go back to the previous form. This is point number one to note. And the second point is, you are on a parent form and you filled some data in few sections and clicked on save and then close the button, and coming back from application history, and if you want to make any changes, you have to click the save button starting from the beginning. Suppose there are 4 saves in that entire page, you please use the control F functionality to find the save buttons and just click save button, so that you can proceed with the next sections. Or next sections will be enabled only when you click on save button on the existing panels for which data you've already filled in. So the next point is change in email ID and company email ID. So unlike in V2, wherein email ID used to get changed from almost all the forms, however, email ID update for company and LLP is blocked in V3 system through eForms. However, this service is very well available in profile update page for company user login, which means you have to create your company user ID, and then using profile update page, you can change your email ID, and same will get reflected in your company master also. So apart from this, sir, we have to highlight few more common issues which we have got as part of recent amendments that happened on small company logic. So 2-3 points I will highlight, then we will take up the questions. So so as we all know, the MCA has issued one notification on 1st of December, which increases the threshold limits of small company with respect to paid up capital and turnover, whereas paid up capital limit got increased from 4 crore to 10 crore, and turnover limit got increased from 40 crore to 100 crores. So point number one to notice accordingly. So based on these revised threshold limits, system has already taken your filing information, whether it is the previous year information, or if you've already done your AOC-4 or XBRL form for the current financial year, whatever is the latest information that is available in the system, system has taken that information and accordingly recalculated the small company logic in the system, and accordingly small company flag got updated for the new companies which are currently are under small company bracket, but not under small company logic, but now will fall under small company logic because of this threshold limit increase. That change has already happened in the system. Accordingly, you may get an error whenever you're trying to file MGT 7. Suppose, let us say, initially your company was not a small company and you were filing MGT7. Now, as part of this threshold limit, system must have already updated the flag as yes because of increased limit. Then, and when you try to file MGT7 in V3 system, you may get an error saying that you're not a small company, please file MGT7A in that case. So you may please proceed with filing of MGT7A. But however, there is one issue which we need to highlight here with respect to MGT8 certification. MGT8 certification is required for all listed companies and the companies where the paid up capital is 10 crore or more or turnover is 40 crore or more. So currently these limits are within the previous limits of small company logic. Hence this MGT8 certification section is not available in 7A, but only available in 7. Now, because of this increased threshold limits, if any company which is now falling under small company bracket, but MGT8 certification is applicable for them, that is either their capital is 10 crore or their turnover is up to 100 crore, but MGT8 certification is required, there may be a blocker that there is no section in MGT7A to report that certification details the way it is there in MGT7. So for this financial year, the workaround for this is wherever company is filing MGT7A as per revised small company threshold limits and MGT8 certification is applicable to you, please file your MGT8 certification in the form of optional attachment to MGT7A. So point number 1, you still have to file MGT7A only. System will not allow you to file MGT7. But as far as MGT8 certification is concerned, please provide that certification in the form of optional attachment. So this is one thing, and SRN of ADT1 we have already discussed, and small company threshold limit increase. So as we explained, the limit got increased and accordingly we have revised your small company applicability logic in the system. And please, whenever if you're getting any error as part of filing MGT7, you please go and file MGT7A or earlier your company was a small company or not a small company. Now this year it has become a small company, vice versa. Please try to follow the filing in a sequential manner. That is, first you go and file your AOC-4 or AOC-4 XBRL or NBFC so that your small company logic will get set correctly so that you can file MGT7 or 7A as per your applicability. So if you file AOC-4 form first, then your small company logic will get updated as part of that information, because there is no separate form for small companies or OPCs for AOC4. So you can file that form with all your threshold limits so that system will pick those values and update your small company logic. So this is applicable wherever there is a change in the small company flag when compared to your previous year filings. So all this relating to MGT8, small company logic, and what all key points that you need to consider for while filing MGT7, 7A with respect to small company. All these points are mentioned in FAQs in a detailed manner. Please access MCA portal, help and FAQs, and click on company services. And there are 5 values are that 5 line items are available. That is AOC4 forms, MGT7, ADT1, general FAQs. So we have detailed FAQs written in MCA portal. Please go through those FAQs for any clarification or for any solution for the commonly known issues. So next question, common question that we are getting about MGT7 and 7A. So this is about providing gender-wise shareholder details in MGT7 or 7A after shareholding pattern section. So this is again new section that got added, and we are getting many complaints saying that our company is a large company where we have shares got dematerialized, and depository itself is not providing this gender-wise information from where we can give this bifurcation. So the workaround for this is, if mostly this is happening with NSDL, CDS is providing this information, but if your shares are actually a depository is NSDL and NSDL is not providing this information, the workaround for now is to provide the available information with you. If no such information is available, try to group the number in one of the category and provide the clarification in the optional attachment. So because as per MC's requirements, this gender-wise bifurcation is mandatory. So system will not allow you to proceed without entering any number. So try to provide the nearby number, or if it is not available at all, try to group it with one of the category and provide it in the clarification letter. So other common issue is FIIs. So there is one section for foreign institutional investors wherein you have to provide certain details, including date of incorporation of that FII. So in V2 also this field was there, but it was optional. But now in V3, this field was made as mandatory, and we are getting many complaints saying that I have one FFI, but FII, but I don't know the date of incorporation of that FII. So the solution to this is it is basically a mandatory requirement, and if it is not available, please request you to get in touch with your FII, get the details of your date of incorporation and provide the details. So system will not allow you to proceed without entering the date of incorporation of that FII. So other common issue with respect to MGT 7 and 7A, list of shareholder attachments. So we have added, we have provided two options with validation, without validation. So which option to choose? And we are getting many tickets for this. So the option is at the stakeholder end. So if you want to file your fill in your list of shareholders in a predefined format with proper validations, you can use the with validation Excel sheet. However, that Excel sheet has a more number of columns with all predefined drop-down values, and you are expected to use that functionality only if you have the entire data for all the stakeholders. Even if one stakeholder is not having the PAN number or any other mandatory field, you will not be able to use that with validation file. So it is up to the stakeholder. Please check. If your number of shareholders are lesser and you have the entire data, you can very well use this with validation file. If not, you can go with without validation file, wherein though no validations will be done and there is no predefined format, you can use your own format, and then you can go ahead and proceed with filing of the form. And other issue is save submit issue, which I've already explained. Form is bifurcated into different sections. So you have to click on save prior to existing saves before making any change in the subsequent sections. This we have already explained. PDF download issue I've explained. And MGT 7, whenever you are downloading any Excels from, because MGT 7 has multiple Excels, for example, board of director details, subsidy details, and joint venture details. So please make sure to enter the values. The date format that you're using in the Excel should be in DDMMYY. And also make sure to use the correct version of Excel. So please read the instructions before filling any such Excels, and read the help kit for this. So payment deducted and challan not generated. So you have to wait at least for 4 hours to get the confirmation from bank. And this message is already displayed on the payment screen page. Please wait for 4 hours. And if still not challan not generated, then you please raise a ticket. So ADT SRN issue we have discussed. Sole proprietary issue we have discussed. Overlapping issue we have so overlapping issue. So basically this is one of the important points that we want to highlight. Whenever you are filing ADT 1 form for auditor's appointment, there is one field called period from and period to, right? So, and we have observed that many users are providing that period from and period to date as either their AGM date or some other date, or in case of new company incorporation, they are giving some different date after 30 days, whatever is the appointment date they're entering. But if you read the section and the label of that field, it says that period for which audit accounts have to be audited. This is the language that we have used, which means you are expected to enter the financial year start date and end date for which the auditor is getting appointed, not the appointment dates or not the AGM start date and AGM end dates. So because of this issue, we are facing a lot of challenges with the overlapping issues. Say for example, if you have already done your filing with the AGM date as say 30th October 2025, and if you try to file another form next year, system will throw an overlap issue. Please make sure to provide the correct period from and period to in ADT1 forms whenever you're filing the form. And if you're facing any existing problems, you may have to raise the ticket with the issue description, that we will see how to resolve your problem. But for all prospective filings, please make sure to give the correct period from and period date. That is the period for which accounts have to be audited, not the not the date of appointment, not the AGM dates. Small company flag issue we have updated. And XBRL, so validation tool related issues. If you are facing any validation tool related issues, because even though the taxonomies have not undergone any change, there are the schema links got updated, and we have already published the relevant messages on XBRL portal. Please go through those instructions and messages and try to use the latest version of validation tool for validating your XMLs. Name mismatch issue we have already discussed, and photograph, one of the commonly raised issue. So in MGT 7 and 7, we have added one mandatory attachment to provide your photograph of your registered office of the company, right? So we are getting many issues, whether what is the date and which format, whether director has to be there or not. So there is separate FAQ that we have already published, that it is mandatory to the latest, whatever is the latest available photograph of the registered office showing external binding and name and address. So you have to make sure your name and address is visible in that photograph, and director is not required to be displayed in that photograph. So this FAQ is clearly, it is already available on MCA portal. Please read the FAQs which are available for all these critical forms. And PDF is not downloading list of shareholder. This point we've already discussed. So with this, we have completed our presentation. Now we are open for Q&A. Ma'am?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation, Vijaya. So there are certain specific issues we have received. One member is asking the offline utility is unable to validate DSC. It says signature failed. What should we check?
So, ma'am, as far as DSC is concerned, it is common functionality, whether it is offline or online. As I mentioned, once you submit the form, once SRN gets generated, DSC validation is common for all. So if they are facing DSC validation error, as we've said, please ask the user to check whether DSC is valid and they are using whatever the instructions that we have displayed. And if still they are getting the error, could be a user specific issue. They have to raise the ticket with the complete issue description, ma'am.
Okay. So another issue we have received is while filing AOC-4 form for a newly incorporated company, we are getting error message regarding SRN of ADT1 form, which was filed for 5-year term. The form
So-
throws an error basically regarding the date of audit report.
So, ma'am, if it is a newly incorporated company and first auditors appoint for ADT1 as per Companies Act, ADT1 is not mandatory for first auditor's appointment. Even though ADT1 form has this functionality currently in the system, but it is not mandatory for the company to go and file ADT1 for first auditor's appointment. In those cases, user can proceed with the Z9 and SRN. And this point is also mentioned in the FAQs, ma'am. So user can refer Z9 and SRN and they can provide all the details manually and he can proceed with filing if it is for first auditor's appointment.
Okay. Another issue we have received is the auditor has surrendered the COP, due to which Form ADT3 cannot be filed. And although a casual vacancy ADT1 has been filed and approved, the portal continues to block reappointment due to old tenure mapping. What could be the
Yes,
reason for
ma'am.
that?
So it is again a known issue. Again, we need the ticket number for further analysis. So if the surrender the membership number is surrendered part, we've already taken care. But if a new filing of ADT1 is getting blocked, that we need to handle case by case only because of the issues that I explained you. Maybe
Okay.
user must have not provided the correct period from and period two, or there may be other issue that we need to check. So we would request the stakeholder to raise a ticket, or you can also share the issues along with the ticket number, ma'am, so that we can analyze it.
Sure. I think these are the issues we have received, and rest of the some
Yeah,
specific
ma'am.
issues.
Mostly, I think, we have already covered all the most commonly asked
Yes.
questions. So,
Sure. And I would request the users, we are sending you mass mail and emails, mass SMS. We request you any issues you have with the ticket number, please send it to us. We will get it rectified and we'll get it corrected with the LTI team.
And
Thank you
ma'am,
so
one
much,
more
Vijaya, for
last
this.
important point that I have to highlight here, ma'am. So, as we all know that the waiver period is waiver period is extended only till 31st December 2025, right?
Yes.
So please make sure there are 2 points that I want to highlight in terms of cancellation. So once your SRN is generated, you are requested to upload the DSC of fixed PDF within 15 days from the date of SRN generation. Suppose, let us say you have created your SRN on 1st of December. It is mandatory for you to go and upload your DSC of fixed PDF on or before 15th December. In between, even though you go and make some change and clicked on edit button and last updated date is showing as 10th of December or 12th of December, but still, once your SRN is generated, your cancellation period start from that day of SRN generation. So please make sure to upload your DSC of fixed PDF on or before 15 days of your SRN generation, else your SRN will get cancelled and you have to fill in the form again. This is point number 1. And point number 2, we have 3 stages of filing process in V3. That is, first you have to submit your web form wherein SRN gets generated, and then you have to download your PDF and upload your DSC of fixed PDF onto the portal and then go for payment, right? Now, to avail this waiver of fee for annual filing forms, whether it is AOC 4 or MGT 7, you have to make sure to upload your DSC of fixed PDF on or before 31st December onto the portal. If you only submitted web form and you have not uploaded your DSC of fixed PDF on the portal on or before 31st December, you will not get the waiver, because your fee calculation is dependent on the day when you upload your DSC of fixed PDF. For example, you have submitted web form on 30th December, for example, or say 25th December, you've generated the SRN and you've not uploaded your DSC of fixed PDF on or before 31st December, your SRN. So basically, and you try to upload it, system will allow you to upload the form on 1st of Jan or 5th of Jan. But the fee waiver is applicable only till 31st December. The moment you cross 31st December, your additional fee logic will start from the day one. That is, suppose your due date is 29th October, for which you are trying to file the form, say on 5th of January, even though SRN is generated on or before 31st December and you've not uploaded your DSC of fixed PDF, system will start charging additional fee starting from 1st of November. So we would request all the stakeholders to make a note of this and make sure to upload your DSC of fixed PDF and complete your process, complete your filing on or before 31st December, because we've seen large number of SRNs which are lying under DSC upload and pending for payment stage. To avail this additional fee waiver, please make sure to upload your DSC of fixed PDF documents onto the portal on or before 31st December. Yes, ma'am, this is what I wanted to highlight once again.
Thank you so much for this insightful session, Vijaya. I would also
Thank you.
request Shashi sir to speak a few words to our stakeholders regarding this awareness. Okay, I think Shashi sir is not there. I would
Good
request.
evening, Seemaji.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Seemaji.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Vijay. Thank you for giving insights into this and also answering all the questions regarding annual filings. It was a request to the institute to promote this and make more webinars and get more queries, so that we'll be able to conduct more webinars in future and answer all the queries, what problems we are faced by our professional colleagues during annual filings. We want to ensure that their annual filing is smooth this time. You can offline also send, since your people are available in our HT house, you can send it to them also. And if you want to escalate any specific issues which require our specific attention, you can just mail it across to me.
Sure, sir. Many thanks for your support.
Hey,
I would request our chairman, sir, Babu Ibrahim, sir, to speak a few words, please.
yeah, Shashara sir, thank you very much for joining us. This webinar is attended by a very good number of chartered accountants across the country, and also we are very glad that we are been able to be part of the MCA in V3 launch. And also, we are, as you may be aware, we are also running 3 helplines from Monday to Friday to address queries raised by the members. And thank you very much, members who have joined across the country, and also for the LTA team making a brilliant presentation and answering the queries. Over to Seema.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of the Corporate Laws and Corporate Governance Committee, we extend our sincere appreciation to Ministry of Corporate Affairs, LTI technical team for their valuable time and contribution. Thank you for being part of this webinar. And thanks a lot to all the participants who have attended this webinar. In case you find any difficulty, always write to us at clcgc@icai.in. All the details are available on our website. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so
all.
much.
Over.